What a day. You know, it's not every day you face down a crazy abomination that's comprised almost entirely of video game cases, but hey, I suppose crazier things have happened. I won't need this anymore. With that being said though, it'll still be a while until I get back. The portal still hasn't materialized, so I figured since I'm still stuck here, and I've got nothing else to do, I figured since I already talked about the original game, I figured I might as well talk about the remaster. So yes, today, join me as we discuss Night Dive Studios' 2024 remaster of The Thing, the game. Announced earlier this year, The Thing's remaster would be handled by Night Dive Studios, who have become the go-to company for remastering old games, such as the excellent System Shock and Star Wars Dark Forces remasters. So here comes their latest task of remastering the 2002 game, The Thing. Now, I've thoroughly discussed this game in my previous review, so I won't reiterate on stuff too much that I've already discussed. Instead, I'm going to primarily focus on things that Night Dive Studios has improved upon, problems that still exist, and some new problems that have arisen. So, I figured it's best to start out with the main reason people want to play this game 20 years after the fact: the visual overhaul. The game has been modernized from 480p all the way up to 4K 144 frames per second. The environments, NPCs, and aliens have received a significant texture overhaul. The human character models, while looking better, still retain the somewhat blocky look of the original, but it's an artifact of the original look of the game. And while it doesn't have the fidelity and look of modern games, it's still a vast improvement. The lighting in the original game was relatively flat, mostly changing when going from interiors to exteriors, and shadows were either simplistic or non-existent. The light sources from flares, fires, and flashlights would illuminate areas, but not give off realistic shadows or wouldn't project shadows from objects or characters being lit. In the remaster, the lighting and shadows are organic to any and all individual light sources. Characters and object shadows are broadcasted more naturally in the environment, and the lighting feels more dynamic, showing more realistic contrast. Looking at the shadows here. Okay, the ambient occlusion's looking pretty nice too. Even small things like sparks or minimal lights will now accurately reflect on areas, such as pools of blood. And look at this, it's kind of reflecting off everything. Now the blood is this kind of oozy ichor kind of look to it. It looks awesome. The fire animations are vastly improved upon, again realistically projecting around areas. The blood and gore itself looks so much more slimy and disgusting. The aliens themselves not only look more diverse, with having more apparent tints to their textures and colors, but they also just look more terrifying and gross, with a glint of sheen on them that makes it look like they just recently bursted out. Looking like blood is actively flowing on the abominations. It looks awesome. And the lighting overhaul actually makes the game feel more terrifying. The interiors are more darker and kind of feels more claustrophobic, really instilling fear into the player. And finally, Night Dive Studios applied color grading to the game in cutscenes, like blue to exemplify the cold or warmer colors to indicate danger, which adds more to the atmosphere of the game. One of the biggest issues I had with the original game were the controls, which either forces you to use these awkward tank controls, or a layout with better movement at the sacrifice of less than ideal button layout. Thankfully though, these problems have been alleviated, and now the control scheme is much more streamlined and feels much more modern. Getting to set your own controls, along with managing the sensitivity of joysticks, definitely made the gameplay feel better. Speaking of which, the overall gameplay has had some improvement as well, especially for new players. Something very useful is the fact that you could have hotkeys for weapons and items. Most notably, left or right on the D-pad allows you to quickly heal or bring out your flamethrower, taking out the hassle of going through menus to switch between such critical items. When attacking enemies in the original game, the crosshair would gradually change from green to red based on the damage dealt, and when it becomes solid red, you could burn the bigger things and kill them. A similar system still exists, but a convenient flame icon will appear when things are ready to be burned. Not a vast change, but a nice indicator for new people to the game. The UI for the squad management system has been improved as well. Like the original, you have 2 meters under your squad mates indicating health and trust, but now there are actual icons that better distinguish what each bar represents. And the trust system is divided into segments to give the player a better idea of that teammate's status. The indicators for fear and trust have also been overhauled, going from a 3/4 pie meter in the first game to a caution sign indicating their morale.
Private Mickey was the first to go. He was halfway across the base when all of a sudden he just started screaming bloody murder. Bloody murder! Bloody murder!
Another issue was that in the original game, save states in the second half of the game were few and far between, and if you died, you had to go back to a previous save or even restart the level at times. Fortunately, Night Dive Studios have made dying less punishing by introducing an autosave feature that occurs at major checkpoints of the level, making some sections feel much less tedious. I can access it. Oh, sweet mercy. Oh my god. Normally there's like another junction box you have to fix here in order to save here, and you have to do like 5 more steps in order to get your engineer through here. But oh, thank god, they showed mercy. Oh, they showed mercy. Thank you. Thank you so much. Along with that, they also adjusted certain sections of the game that had ridiculous difficulty spikes, like this level where you had to kill enemies while traveling down a series of ramps that also had turrets which are difficult to deal with. The annoyances are reduced due to simply putting more exploding barrels by the turrets, making this section much more manageable. Some sections of the original game also suffered from infinite scuttler spawns, like in the previously mentioned level, that made parts unrelenting and anger-inducing, but thankfully those unlimited spawns have been fixed as well. A problem that I ran into at certain points in the original game was lack of ammo. Even when being extremely conservative, there are points where you'll run low or even out of ammo, but luckily the amount of ammo you can carry has been increased, almost doubled for some weapons, along with additional ammo being added to certain locations where such ammo was lacking, which also helps. But even still with these changes, the game continues to instill a sense of challenge, so you still have to be wary on ammo consumption. There were also a few noticeable fixes in the sound department, most notably with the first boss, where the audio always breaks but is now fixed.
Oh yeah!
Yes, thank you, they fixed the sound, thank you. Speaking of bosses, 3 of the 4 now have a health bar, which actually makes these battles more dynamic. The original bosses have certain weak points that you had to target and bring into the red before finally bringing it down with fire. Now it's made much more realistic in that you can now shoot the bosses pretty much wherever you want, and it'll dwindle their health down to critical, where you can finally finish it off. Also, something a little extra was the vault, which is a nice addition that has things like concept art and illustrations for characters, aliens, locations, and more. Just another little nugget that makes the remaster more bang for your buck. Which now brings me to what was the most broken system in the original game, that being the blood test kits. And thankfully, these have seen a dramatic fix. If you'll recall, your teammates' burst outs were completely scripted, so even if you test a guy and he's clean, as soon as you pass a certain zone a few seconds later, they would automatically turn, even if they hadn't been attacked by a single alien. Now yes, there are still some scripted burst out moments, which is understandable, but now for the most part, you will never know when your teammates are gonna turn and strike, putting the player constantly on edge, constantly having to check them with blood test kits, and it makes this mechanic feel much more organic to your playthrough, and overall making things much more interesting and dire. Okay, so let's do a test on Collins real quick.
All right, let's do this.
Okay, all right, let's see how this goes. Is it gonna artificially force him out when I go into the boss room, or is he actually gonna be in here with me? So overall, the improved visuals have added much more depth and horror to the campaign, the gameplay feels much stronger overall, and many of the mechanics are now improved. So, it seems like this is a much better game now, right? Well, yes. Yes it is. But it's far from perfect, because unfortunately, it still suffers from many of the original game's problems. The story doesn't make any sense and is absolutely insane. The characters, including Blake, are one-note and forgettable. You meet all these companions in the campaign, and yet we barely know anything about them, and they just go away at random intervals. The AI and pathing with both your teammates and enemies, especially Whitley's troops, are still bad. But they not like took a quick look at the AI and be like, hey, we can fix this. We can do a much better job. It's the year 2024. We don't have to fucking push our NPCs anymore through the fucking place in order to get anywhere.
Thanks, I appreciate that. Nah, I'm joshing you. That was quite annoying.
The snozberries taste like snozberries.
He's gonna get stuck. Yeah! Hey, you walked in front of me. Oh my god. Are you serious? There's still the tedium with the junction boxes, the weapon sound effects weren't updated, and most still lack punch with their sound effects. The Fear Trust system, despite its visual updates, is still as simplistic and underwhelming as the original. The bosses are still just as broken, and you can still cheese them by standing in certain areas and they won't be able to attack you at all, and you can just wail on them. Of course, they still didn't fix the glitch where you could just stay in the corner. You could just sit right here.
Prepare to die. Ow, come on, stop it. Ow, no fair. I can't reach that far. Ow, come on, man. I'm still rooted to the ground here. Please stop. I'll give you candy. So stop being a little bitch and fight me.
Okay, and away we go.
Oh, it burns. Fuck you.
Hey, bud. How's it going?
Fine.
How's the wife and kids, huh? Good?
Well, my fuck, that hurts. Come on. Wait. You'll never take my wife alive! My wife won't have my revenge.
So yeah, while the game looks better, it still contains a lot of problems from the original. And even worse still, let's now talk about some of the new problems that have arisen with this remaster. Something at first that made the game a little more immersive in combat is the UI for the weapons and items. Now you have the option, like the original, to completely pause the game to go to either menu, or via bumpers you can quickly bring up the wheel and the game will go into slow motion, which theoretically should keep you more in the moment. The problem is it's extremely finicky. I don't know if mouse and keyboard players experience this, but this is what happened to me on controller. Whenever you bring up the slow motion wheels, when I select an item, 95% of the time, it won't work when I go back into the game in real time. And I find myself constantly bringing up a menu in order to get a certain gun, and it just won't select. I said select. Okay. Okay, that's weird. I want the fire extinguisher. That's so annoying. I shouldn't have to mash the button to get it. Oh, that's why. No, I want the frickin' shotgun. Is that so hard? Jeez. Frickin' frustrating to like choose items and weapons and stuff. It doesn't look like I should be having trouble, but it is, trust me. It wasn't until much trial and error that I figured out to select an item, I had to hit the A button twice in order to successfully choose an item. But even then, every once in a while, it wouldn't work. Thus, I would have to use the old system of completely pausing the game to choose something and go back to real time. Either way, in the heat of the moment, this was a constant nuisance that nearly got me killed many times, and it just takes you out of the experience. Also, for the remaster, Night Dive Studios introduced a very hard mode, so I figured that this mode would actually present a decent challenge. But I was wrong. Despite the fact that I was playing on very hard mode, the hardest difficulty in the game, it felt no different than if I had played it on easy. Woohoo! Oh, that was easy. Oh. Oh. Wow, you know what? I think they're easier to kill than before. Holy crap. Because that took like nothing, even for a grenade. I figured that enemies would become bullet sponges in this difficulty, or at least deal more damage, but no, there is absolutely no difference no matter what difficulty you choose. Also, despite the character models being updated and more animated, they still look awkward, along with the original's lip sync issues. There are several instances during the cutscenes where dialogue is clearly spoken, and yet their mouths will be closed, which are problems that I figured they could easily fix for the remaster.
I need your help. Come any closer and I'll fry your ass.
Oh, come on. You couldn't even fix that. His mouth was closed when he said ass.
Come any closer and I'll fry your ass.
The faces are more animated, and by that I mean their eyes and eyebrows actually move, which is great. However, there's some animations that just look exaggerated or goofy. But the most disturbing thing is the eyes.
I've seen firsthand what this infection is capable of.
Oh, you have no
Ah,
idea.
his eyes.
Whitley. He tried to gun me down, but he didn't quite finish the job.
Wow, he looks utterly evil right there. Jeez.
Blake.
Jeez, what's with your eyes, bro?
I have special eyes.
Now, I didn't suffer any crashes during my playthrough, but I encountered a couple very game-breaking glitches that forced me to either kill myself or I just flat out died. There were a few points where I ran into random invisible walls that weren't in the original game. Let's see. I can do Wait, what? What the? I'm stuck. I'm stuck. I can't move. I can't move. I can't move. I'm stuck. Oh, this is annoying. There's like an invisible wall, or I can't even call it a wall. It's like there's an invisible slope right here. It's weird. Now you're probably wondering why I'm doing this. No! There was an invisible slide there. There was an invisible slide right there. Oh my God, are you serious? Look at this. Look what's happening. I'm running into an invisible wall right here. There is an invisible wall right here. And the thing is, I have to come up here. Oh, I made it. That was scary. So after all that, we come down to the final verdict. Is Night Dive Studios' remaster of the Thing game, despite its problems, worthy of its $30 price tag? Are all the improvements and additions enough to overcome its shortcomings that were brought over from the original? Well, to be honest, I will say that it is a great visual remaster of a flawed game. Okay, look, remaster aside, the majority of the game and its components are based on the original 2002 version. Thus, you have to compare it to other action horror games that originally came out during that era. Ask yourself, did the original game hold a candle to the overall gameplay, graphics, storytelling, and characters of games like Silent Hill 2 or Eternal Darkness: Sanity's Requiem? No, far from it. The gameplay tweaks and rebalancing in the remaster definitely made this a much less tedious playthrough, and I did experience some genuine bouts of horror with the improved lighting and atmosphere. Visually, this is the absolute best this game will ever look and play within its current engine. And I will admit, in both the original and the remaster, there are some fun and interesting sections in the game, and I do recognize the effort of attempting to add so many different mechanics and ideas. Unfortunately, many just weren't fully realized due to one reason or another, even in the remaster. With that being said though, I will say, while there are several annoyances still present, along with those new ones being brought into the remaster, and in about 4 to 6 hours, it's still deserving of its $30 price tag. Bottom line, fans who love the original will definitely love the remaster. So if you're still on the fence either way, wait for a sale. Well, I guess that's it then. We finally come full circle on The Thing, the game. I still got a few hours until the portal reemerges and I can finally leave this Arctic hellhole. But until then, it's gonna be smooth sailing. Yep, nothing bad is gonna happen for the rest of the day. Yep, I cannot express how badly I know for a fact that everything is gonna be just fine and nothing weird or strange, especially within the next few seconds. And there's definitely not gonna be a repeat of the previous actions where I had to fight some type of giant alien monstrosity, and I'm definitely not gonna be eating those words within the next few seconds. You know, I should just learn to keep my damn mouth shut. Let's do this. Yeah, fuck you too! Again!